Hi guys, my name is Tony O'Dowd and I'm going to take the first part of this presentation. And what I'm going to focus on today is to look at the challenges that some of our clients are facing in building production-ready machine translation systems. So what I'm going to talk about is how can project managers make the right project management decisions at the right time in using or managing, scheduling a machine translation project. And then the next part of my presentation, I'm going to talk about how engineers can develop production-ready machine translation systems at very, very fast speeds. Because at the end of the day, I came from a production background. I've worked for many, many years in the industry, and a lot of the projects are always under time and speed pressures. And then we're going to pass over to my co-worker, Maxime, who will then talk about how they've used the KantanMT platform for their clients and introduce machine translation rapidly into their localization process. And he's going to talk about the benefits and the improvements in both time, effort and cost that they've seen by the introduction of the KantanMT platform. So the first thing I want to talk about very, very briefly is what is KantanMT.com. Well, KantanMT.com is a statistical machine translation system based on the cloud, and we're entirely scalable, we're insanely inexpensive to use, and we're very, very quick to deploy engines. Okay, so it's a cloud-based implementation of the Moses decoder. That's effectively what our platform is. Our vision is to put machine translation, the customization of it, the improvement and the deployment of that into your hands. So you don't need to hire expensive consultants or have long, lengthy lead times or commissioning times for machines. You know your data best. You know how to use that data for the benefit of your clients, and our platform allows you to use that data to build high-quality machine translation systems. We're in operation here approximately 15 to 16 months, and we've had an incredible good start, thank God, to our system. In the last 15 months, for instance, 28 billion words of translation training words have been uploaded by our clients. They've built approximately 6,500 engines in all languages. In fact, at the moment we support up to 400 plus language combinations. And our members of our community, the KantanMT community, have translated over 427 million words over the last 15 months using our platform. So it's been a tremendous adventure for us when we launched the platform, and we've been able to create a lot of value with our clients, which is great. So let's talk about the first challenge that we want to talk about today, and it's how can project managers manage post-editing projects? In other words, if they get a machine translation job, how can they manage that more effectively? Because one of the biggest challenges that our clients have faced prior to the introduction of KantanMT is how can they determine the scope of a project? How can they determine how much it will cost, for instance? How can they determine the margin that they can create on that project? More fundamentally and important, how can they determine the resources that they need to bring in order to complete a post-editing project for their client on time, on budget, and as quickly as possible? Well, we've actually taken that project and that challenge under our wings over the last couple of months, and we've actually developed a technology that addresses that challenge head on. And it's actually called a technology called CanTurn Analytics. And what CanTurn Analytics does is it develops or calculates a quality estimation score for every segment that's processed by a KantanMT engine. So I remember many, many years ago when I was a project manager, I used to use the fuzzy match report that I produced from either the Alchemy Catalyst tool or the Trados tool, or in the really early days from XL8, which was the original of all the translation memory technologies. And I used to use that fuzzy match report to calculate three things. It would tell me what my word count was, and if I knew my word count, I could actually calculate how many resources I'd need to finish a project, and more fundamentally, I'd be able to calculate the cost and time for that schedule. So what CanTurn Analytics does for machine translation systems is what those traditional fuzzy match reports did in the early days of the industry. So the fuzzy match report is akin, sorry, the KanTurn Analytics report is akin to the fuzzy match report, but it works on machine translation systems. So what does it provide the project manager? Well, here's an example of a CanTurn Analytics report, and there's several key pieces of information that we provide on the screen in order to help our project managers make the right decisions. So the first thing we display is the total recall hit. Now, what is total recall? Total recall is a technology that we've developed on the KantanMT platform, and it's an advanced translation memory system. So when our clients build a machine translation system on the Kantan platform, it also builds a translation memory. So KantanMT is the fusion of two technologies. On the one hand, it's translation memory, and on the other hand, it's statistical machine translation technology. So the total recall graph here tells me how much of my translation has been provided from that total recall translation memory. Very, very important, because typically that's 100% matches, so it requires little or no post-editing. The second graph here is what percentage of the overall project has been generated through the Kantan statistical machine translation system. So in this example here, it's 73%. So 27% has been translated or routed through a translation memory, and 73% has come through a statistical machine translation system. It's completely seamless for our clients. They get the best of both worlds when they translate projects through the Kantan platform. The next thing we give them is a distribution graph based on the levels of quality that has come from the KantanMT environment. And this is at the segment level. So for the first time ever in the industry, our clients get a segment level quality estimation for everything they translate through a machine translation system. And that's an incredibly powerful thing to have under their control, because by knowing what segment has, what score a segment has and the quality of that score, they can then estimate how many translators they need, how long the project will take, and more fundamentally, what will be the cost of that project. And in fact, by looking at these quality estimation scores, they can also prioritize the translation that's required and that the translator has to do. So if it's a light post-edit project, he would instruct his translators, for instance, to only translate or post-edit those ranges between 69% and lower. And that is a way of prioritizing the actual post-editing effort. Of course, we provide all the usual information that project managers have been used to and using in the fuzzy match report, such as the range of all the QE scores. We provide the word count within all those ranges, and we also give them the placeholder and tag counts should they want to add some complexity charges to a particular project. And one of the really cool features about CanTurn Analytics is that if you're using Trados or you're using MemoQ or just a standard XLIF file, we embed these QE scores directly into those files, so that when you send these files out to translators, they can use their favorite CAP tool and they can actually see these QE scores appearing on the screen just like they handle fuzzy match scores today. So it's all very seamless, it's all very quick, and it's all at the fingertips of a project manager, which helps them make the right decision. So KanTurn Analytics is a key technology. It's unique to the KantanMT platform, and it helps project managers make the right project decisions at the right time. A leading firm and client of ours, Sagen, is actually using KanTurn Analytics today to help them streamline the management of their projects. And it has made a huge impact on how they actually manage, schedule, and charge and cost MT projects today. Let's talk about the second challenge that we have to solve for our clients. And it's the challenge of going beyond the baseline quality of an engine. With the advent of the cloud today, it's relatively easy to build a statistical machine translation system. In fact, in the last 12 months, there's been at least 3 new vendors coming to the market with portal-based statistical machine translation systems. And what's unique about this, and I think quite novel, is that some of the vendors that previously provided consultancy-led customization of machine translation systems today are providing the same service through a platform very similar and modeled on the KantanMT platform today. So building your baseline engine is a relatively easy thing to do. But the real challenge is how do you go beyond the baseline engine? How do you bring a baseline engine to a higher level of quality, and by doing that, get it production ready? And obviously, the higher the quality of the engine, the less post-editing you'll actually do. So in order to help our clients achieve this, and achieve this rapidly, we've developed a technology called Build Analytics. And what Build Analytics does, it provides data analytics and data visualization to help engineers that are building and customizing MT engines the insights to build and release production-ready engines rapidly. So how does it work, and what does it look like? Well, it provides several reports. It provides a training rejects report. It actually tells you what training candidates have been rejected during the customization process. It then does a detailed root and branch analysis of F-measure scores, blue scores, and TER scores. It provides gap analysis, and if there was one thing I advise my clients always to do if they want to rapidly improve the quality of an engine, is to take the gap analysis report and look for those unknown words and provide training data to fill those gaps. It's probably the quickest thing you can do to improve the fidelity and the integrity and the quality of a machine translation engine. We also produce timeline reports and then provide an environment to help them deep tune the engine when they're ready and the engine has achieved a high level of scores. If you look at, say, the breakdown of the F measure, what we provide is a single F measure score, and it's universal. Almost all of the MT providers provide this today, but we don't think that's good enough for our clients. We go one step further. Not only do we give them the F measure score, we actually analyze the distribution of the F measure score across all of their test data. So this graph here shows you what percentage is scoring 100% F measure, what percentage is scoring 90 to 99% F measure, and so on and so forth. And then we graph that for them so they can see very quickly how they can improve their engine. If our client is a novice to the machine translation environment, we have this insight button that appears, which gives them coaching advice on how to improve the fidelity, the quality, and the integrity of their training data, and consequently the quality of the output generated translation. So Kantan Insight is an invaluable addition to our site that takes the novice engineer that knows a little bit about MT but wants to improve his skills rapidly. It gives him the insights to actually improve the engine rapidly. We also provide a detailed distribution analysis of all the test segments, and if you want to roll up the sleeves and see detailed analysis of that, you can just click on the graph, and what we display then is every segment. We give it its TER score, its blue score, its F measure score, and we actually simulate the difference between what the engine has provided and what the professional translator has provided by way of reference translations. So it's a very, very interactive environment. It's a very, very detailed-oriented environment to help you make rapid decisions on how to improve a statistical machine translation engine. Another report we produce is also the gap analysis report. And here's the gap analysis, an example of a gap analysis report. This is an Arabic engine, and what we're looking for here is breaks in the phrase tables of the engine. We're looking for areas where the engine hasn't got knowledge of source words. In this case here, the source language is English, the target language is Arabic, and you can see that we've gone to the trouble of highlighting where these words exist. And this particular report can be downloaded directly into a spreadsheet, can be handed over to a professional translator who can then fix up the translations, and you simply upload the spreadsheet back into your engine, and the engine retrains itself automatically, and all the gaps will be filled. So it's a very, very quick way of determining improving the fluency of an engine. Gap analysis, absolutely important when you're building production-ready engines in a rapid environment. The next report we provide as well is the rejects report. Now, many clients come to us on a regular basis and say, hey, I've uploaded 5 million words, but the word count in the engine is only 3.5 million. What happened to the other 1.5 million words? Well, the data rejects report gives you a detailed analysis as to why the training data has been rejected. And by providing this data to you, you can use your professional translators to improve your training data and then improve the word counts in your engines. Again, it's very detailed. You can download this report directly into a TMX file, which can be opened by using your favorite CAT tool, and you can rapidly improve training data to really have a significant impact on the fluency and quality of your engine. Then the last report that we produce is a thing called Timeline. It's a very new technology that we've developed, and it answers the question that many of our clients have, where they want to have a complete history of how they've built an engine and received and got it to the point of being production ready. So what the Timeline does is it tracks all the activities of an engine and displays, just like the Facebook wall displays data today, and helps our clients really understand the impact of the actions that they've taken. So if they've tuned an engine, how did that improve the F measure, the blue, and the TER scores? If they've uploaded monolingual data, how did that improve the engine? All very important information that they need to make the right decisions rapidly to get production-ready engines. Now I want to introduce at this stage Maxime, who's going to be our next speaker. And Maxime has been using KantanMT with his company bmmt for quite some time, and he's going to tell you real case examples of how they've used this build analytics technology to actually rapidly customize machine translation engines for their clients. So I'm going to hand you over now to Maxime, who will take the next part of this presentation. Thank you very much.
Tony, thanks a lot for the opportunity to present my company and also to share our experience. I prefer to say that it's our journey to the world of machine translation. So today I will discuss our understanding of machine translation in commercial settings, and also I will showcase the values that the bmmt team is bringing to our customers through the use of machine translation, and in particular KantanMT solution. So, let me start from the brief discussion of the rationale behind machine translation as we understand it. From a professional translator's perspective, machine translation is nothing more than just a tool that helps improve translation productivity and also capacity, just because it simply makes the translation process faster, better, and cheaper. The technology behind machine translation, it always helps to create repeatable parameters in the wealth of language and on the basis of the statistical information to train models that can be applied to train your engine and then to generate translations. In the end, a specialist translator edits the translation, which is done by statistical machine translation engine, and adds the finishing touches. This step is also known as post-editing. So, and finally, the combination of these two techniques, one which is a well-established translation memory, and second is the cutting-edge machine translation, plus post-editing. This combination allows the creation of a highly quality translation that that reads just as well as a classically produced translation. So basically, there's no difference in final quality. But of course, the modified process involves a linguistic controlling step, which, as I said, is sometimes called post-editing. So an alternative to the classical approach to translation is the approach that includes machine translation as an integrated part of the translation pipeline. And obviously, translation costs are calculated in different ways. When MT is adopted, the data preparation and quality assurance costs rise, whereas translation costs fall to as low as zero. Of course, it's not really zero, it's a virtual zero, because you have to account for hardware cost, maintenance cost, etc. And what is the most important is that the total cost of translation is reduced dramatically, as you can see on the screen. So the use case that I'm going to present today illustrates how a major breakthrough in technology, here we're talking about machine translation, is leading to ongoing improvement in the localization field in general. Our customer was one of the biggest German machine manufacturer who had to translate more than 50,000 words from English into German. The approach was chosen for this project by ourselves and our customer as well was a hybrid system that combines two technologies. First one is translation memory, and the second is machine translation. So at the first stage, the input files were processed through the translation memory system, Trados Studio 2011, and the machine translation part was done with the KantanMT solution. So the final goal of this project was to try to reach to produce translation of the same level of quality as in all human translation. From the beginning, the translated content was divided into two parts. About 7,000 words came from TM as high fuzzy images, and the rest went through machine translation-based pre-translation followed by a post-editing cycle. But there was a tricky part here. Our customer had not worked in this language combination before. So basically it means that there were no TM to train an MT engine on directly. However, we knew that the English authors based their work on material that the customer had previously translated. There was a big chunk of content translated from German into English in the past. And that's why we reversed the language direction of the TM and trained the customer-specific engine with using this translation memory. And the results were satisfactory. So around 44,000 words were post-edited to the final quality level, which was well, practically indistinguishable from human translation. And the total cost savings amounted to 30% in this case. So bmmt joined the KantanMT membership community not so long ago in 2013, but we immediately began testing different customization functionalities that KantanMT platform offers. And the use case that I presented on the previous slides was a great opportunity for us to evaluate the KantanMT engine and identify the most beneficial aspects of its use for us in our own scenario. I trained statistical MT engines for many years, and I know how time-consuming it can be, and it requires a lot of your attention on each steps of training, optimization, and the actual translation. And actually, KantanMT gave us an opportunity to make this process completely automatic. At the training stage, KantanMT provided us with the functionality to customize the system in a fully automatic way, just with one click. And what is the best is that the data cleansing and pre-processing, which are usually the processes which are quite difficult to make automatic, were also done without human involvement. And even more during translation, the story is very similar. So, in fact, in addition to the automatic pre-processing, files are also post-processed in an automatic way and converted into the file formats, which are accepted by the CAP tool that we use. And the quality assessment, it's another story. This is basically one of the most trivial parts in machine translation. And we do use the CanTurn Watch tool that allows us to check the performance of the engines that we train and we use. And the measures are given in an automatic way using automatic evaluation metrics. However, what is even more important is that features that KantanMT provides allows us to really understand, to perform a detailed training data analysis and to understand the suitability of our training material, train machine translation system, and also to determine the relevancy of training data that we use to build the engines. For example, the reject analysis, I think that Tony briefly described it before. From our perspective, it helps us understand the training data that we use. It shows the training data that has been rejected by the engine, well, not actually by the engine, but by the data clips that were before the engine, and it gives us material to improve the data selection policy that we adopt in our company. Another thing is gap analysis. It allows to determine a list of untranslated words that the engine rejects and it helps us understand what the weaknesses of our training material are and where we can improve to improve the performance of the system. And one more important consideration is that KantanMT users do not have to worry about having their own infrastructure to maintain their own servers, or the hardware and software, etc. So another thing that we especially liked is the transparent file format conversion. In fact, modern machine translation systems, based on statistical principles mostly, they operate with text in the plain file format. And speaking from my experience, MT developers often really face a problem of converting files from the format supported by CAD tools into plain text and back. And KantanMT allowed us to do it absolutely transparently. So we uploaded TMs and also documents that we were planning to translate in the genuine SDLXD format, for example, and the KantanMT system did all the job for us. So it's amazing. Another thing is terminology integration. Terminology integration is to a certain extent unresolved problem for statistical machine translation in general. And usually machine translation developers, they face a problem of finding a trade-off between incorporating customer terminology into MT engine in a consistent way and generating fluid translation. Because if you don't really incorporate the terminology in a right way, if you make a mistake or don't select the parameters of the system correctly, you run a risk to destroy the fluency of your translation. However, we were surprised to see that KantanMT shows very good performance in this sense, and it seems that these guys managed to implement a nice solution that delivers consistent terminology along with quite high level of fluency. The last but not least is the topic of transferring markup tags in statistical machine translation. I can say that in general, statistical MT has met much resistance from translators due to two major reasons. First, it is because of, let's say, professional conservatism, but also because the statistical MT community, I mean the research community mostly, the academic one, has often neglected some practical aspects of translation. In academia, for example, until recently, researchers gave themselves the luxury of pretending that only pure text matters. So while we, for example, deal with heavy text context, we need a lot of text and we have to do something with it to translate them consistently. And as you can see in the example on the screen, the translation of the number highlighted in red and the surrounding tag, which is marked 16481 here, can be a little bit tricky for the decoder because the number appears at the last position in the translation, actually appears at the last position in the translation, and the engine has to know that the tag should be replaced together with the number. And we were positively surprised to see that KantanMT system makes this tag transfer possible with a low error rate. And in fact, it also frees our post editors from having to reformat SMT generated texts, and yeah, they were quite satisfied with this translation. So now a couple of words about bmmt, about my company. bmmt offers innovative translation technology solution to a growing number of companies, and there are a lot of users which are interested in machine translation. Every year you can see more and more people and companies like asking about machine translation and interested in this type of solutions. bmmt has 3 operations centers in Munich, Stuttgart and Berlin. And I think I can say that it offers one of Europe's most comprehensive machine translation services to end-user translators. bmmt was founded in 2013 by a group of language industry experts, and they wanted to offer this technology solution to to the world, so begin starting from Germany and also globally. And yeah, actually, the primary source language that we are working with is German, and we also provide integration with the majority of well-known CAD tools like SDL Trados, Across, SDL World Server, etc. And you can find more information about our company on the website. You can see it on the screen. So, and I think this is all that I had to tell. We have, once again, we have just finished the new version of the website, so you can see the link on the screen again and our contact details on the screen again. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Maxime, and it's great to see such concrete examples of how machine translation can actually impact the localization process and in fact add to the overall cost improvement and productivity improvement of projects. If you can make me back presenter now, that would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So just to conclude today's presentation before we go into Q&A, 15 minutes of Q&A, KantanMT is a relatively new player to the market. We're about 1.5 years old, but we've had tremendous success in a relatively short period of time. We're really excited about that. And I guess one of the things that we've tried to solve is real-world problems for our clients. And some of these clients are both internal to organizations and some are external to organizations. So, for instance, for project managers, one of the key problems that we tried to address with them was how to help them make business decisions at the right time. And CanTurn Analytics was the solution that we brought to market with that. It gives quality estimation scores for every segment that goes through an MT system, something that's unheard of in the past. And now, I guess, this is going to become more commonplace in the industry as we go forward, and certainly in the future of machine translation, all systems, I guess, at some stage will have quality estimation technology built into them. We're happy to be the first to bring that to market at this stage. But obviously the professional translator is a key person that's involved in maturing and improving the quality of a machine translation system. And make no mistake, you will never build an MT system of high quality unless professional translators are involved in it. These are the guardians of quality. And CanTurn Analytics can also be used by these professionals to help prioritize their translation efforts and to provide post-editing feedback in order to continuously improve an engine and get that engine to production ready in a more rapid way and in a more rapid timeline than previously thought possible. And then the final one then is for the SMT developers. And I guess if you look at the future of MT, what are we going to see? I think we're going to see a number of engineers developing machine translation skills and knowledge. And they'll be just like localization engineers today that manage your translation memory systems. They'll develop a new skill set that will help them build and embrace machine translation technologies within your organizations, within the localization service provider community, within your localization or your workflows. And CanTurn Build Analytics has been designed specifically to give them insights into that customization process, to help them rapidly build their engines and guide them through the process of actually doing that. So if they're coming to this into the technology, the machine translation technology, and they don't have much experience of MT, machine translation, CanTurn Build Analytics helps them handle that transfer or that migration to a newer skill set very, very effectively. And you can see from Maxime's example that they've been able to take machine translation and deploy it into one of their largest clients very, very quickly. And it's very encouraging to see that they've immediately been able to cut 30% in their costs and actually have gained 70% improvement in productivity. They're really exciting figures, and I think they're figures that we should all sit up and take note of, and perhaps those figures we can actually get ourselves by introducing a machine translation component into our localization workflows as well. So on that note, I'd like to thank Maxime for taking the time to share this webinar with me. There's our contact details, and now I'm going to open the presentation up for questions